In fact, we have a duty to investigate.
A man is dead after a scuffle with Phoenix police.
And liftoff.
Orion comes home after a successful mission around Earth. And shelters are filled as Typhoon Ruby heads for the Philippines. Hi, and welcome to Humber News. I'm Jordan Finkelstein, coming to you from our newsroom here at Humber College North Campus. After much delay, NASA's Orion spacecraft finally took to the skies this morning in a ground-shaking launch.
Back here in Mission Control, one of the Orion program milestones that was achieved about an hour ago.
The next giant leap for the space agency started with a roar. Like its mythical namesake, this climbed the blue sky and stalked the space above Earth for more than 4 hours. The spacecraft went through each of its stages like clockwork as it flew 5,000 kilometers above our heads. Under Mission Control's watch, the parachutes deployed and the capsule made its way back home. It splashed into the Pacific Ocean just before 11:30 Eastern Time. There's been another shooting of an unarmed black man by a white police officer, this time in Phoenix, Arizona. Witnesses say 34-year-old Romain Brisbane was shot Tuesday night after a struggle. Police say they asked the man to show his hands, but instead he put them towards his waistband and fled. He was unarmed.
We don't have a duty to retreat as a police officer. In fact, we have a duty to investigate in this particular case. And he made a decision when the suspect got out of the vehicle, believing that he would leave the area, that he was going to intervene.
The shooting is the latest to spark protests over race and policing in the U.S. In New York yesterday, thousands of people took to the streets to protest against the grand jury's decision not to indict the officer in the death of Eric Garner. Garner was killed by police in July when they had him in a chokehold. Over 200 protesters were arrested in New York last night. In Washington, protesters marched from the Justice Department past the White House to the Washington Monument. In Iraq, 2 car bombs have shaken the eastern district of Baghdad. The deadly blast on Thursday left 15 people dead and 51 injured. Residents of the Sadr city flooded the streets today to mourn the death of one of the victims. The 2 bombs were among 5 separate attacks, 4 in Baghdad and 1 in the northern city of Kirkuk. Overseas, tens of thousands of people have been forced from the central Philippines as a powerful typhoon heads their way. People are bracing for destructive weather. Even though Typhoon Ruby has been downgraded from its super status, it's still expected to be a fierce storm. Ruby could hit land tomorrow. Last year, Typhoon Haiyan devastated the country, killing over 6,000 people. A year after his death, the legacy of Nelson Mandela is alive and well. South Africans are honoring the memory of their national hero in ceremonies across the country. Sirens and horns rang out in the capital city during the celebration, and then a moment of silence in memory of the former president. The ceremony was led by Mandela's widow, who was also joined by other family members, including his grandson. Mandela is remembered for his lifelong pursuit of freedom and equality for his people. Here at home, Stats Canada has released November's employment report. More than 10,000 jobs were lost in November. Across the country, the unemployment rate has risen to 6.6%. Ontario has dropped almost 34,000 jobs. The unemployment numbers come from retail and professional services. So, the good news? There were more jobs in Quebec, Newfoundland, and Labrador. Quebec had the highest increase with an additional 19,000 new jobs. It may not be robbery, but it seems pretty close. Money Mart's questionable gift card exchange policy has finally caught the attention of the Ontario government. The province's Consumer Affairs Minister says the government will be responding to Money Mart's new promotion. The company is offering to trade gift cards for cash for 50 cents on the dollar. Critics say the new scheme is using shoppers at a time when they are most vulnerable. Money Mart says the program is for people who don't want to use their gift cards. It says it's offering customers a convenient, value-added product through this service. Meanwhile, here at Humber, we're finding lots of ways to help out the less fortunate over the holidays. Victoria Shaka has more on the story.
Humber College is getting into the giving spirit for the holidays. Not only is the school decorated with Christmas decor, they are also accepting donations whenever they can. In the Humber Library, students can now donate canned goods in return for money off late fees.
I think it's really good because you could buy something like a 69-cent ramen noodle, and now we've canceled $2 for those people who are finding it a bit hard to pay the fine.
Humber also has a toy room where students can donate an unwrapped gift for those in need.
Whether it's perhaps a little bit of money in the piggy bank or a little reindeer gift or something, some Star Wars toys, whatever it might be, anything that any individual can do to help and contribute would be terrific.
Donation boxes can also be found around the school, as well as the Humber Express Room. Humber will be accepting donations up until the end of the semester, just in time for the holidays. Victoria Shaka, Humber News.
In Texas, a Canadian has run and chugged his way to victory at the first ever Beer Mile Championships. Invented by Canadians in 1989, competitors must drink 4 beers while running a mile. The beer has to be 12 ounces and at least 5% alcohol. Any runner who can't keep the beer down has to do additional laps. The winner in the men's category, drum roll please, is from Winnipeg.
This was amazing to run down. When you hit those straights, see the people cheering and the runners around you and everything. It was probably the greatest atmosphere and running event I've probably ever been at.
Gallagher ran a personal best of 5 minutes. When we come back, we'll tell you what's happening in the world of sports, and Earl Abalajon will have your 3-day forecast.
If you haven't gone out to start your Christmas shopping, this weekend may be a good time to take advantage of the clear, mild weather. Right now it's -1, feels like -2 with cloud cover for most of the day. We'll have your full 3-day forecast after the break.
But first, we assure you this next story is not so tongue-in-cheek. A Chinese folk artist is creating art one lick at a time. In a family tradition dating back to his great-grandfather, the artist dips his tongue in ink before creating paint strokes on paper. He had to stop using regular ink after being diagnosed with lead poisoning. But this tongue Picasso hasn't stopped making his masterpieces.